Welcome to today's story. Are you ready to be inspired? This is the amazing story of a man who faced huge challenges but never gave up. His name is Barack Obama. He went from a boy with a difficult childhood to become the 44th President of the United States. He showed the world that with hard work, determination, and belief in yourself, you can achieve anything. This story will take you through his early years, his struggles, his dreams, and the people who helped him along the way. It's a story about overcoming obstacles and fighting for a better future. As you listen, you'll not only improve your English skills, but also learn some important life lessons. So, let's dive in. Barack Hussein Obama was born on August 4, 1961, in the beautiful state of Hawaii, located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But even though he was born in the United States, his story begins in a very different place. His father, Barack Obama Sr., came from a country called Kenya in East Africa, and his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, was from Kansas in the United States. His parents met while his father was studying in Hawaii, but soon after Barack was born, his parents separated, and his father returned to Kenya. Barack's life from the very beginning was full of challenges. His father was far away, and his mother was busy working hard to raise him. Despite these challenges, Barack grew up with an extraordinary sense of hope and ambition. He always dreamed of a better life, even when things weren't easy. When Barack was just a small child, his father sent him letters. Although Barack couldn't understand everything his father wrote, he treasured those letters. They became a symbol of the love his father had for him, even from afar. Barack grew up knowing that his father was an important figure in his life, even though he didn't have the chance to be with him much. While Barack's father wasn't physically present, he had other strong influences in his life. His mother, Ann Dunham, was a woman of great strength and wisdom. She worked hard to support Barack, making sure that he had everything he needed to succeed. Ann was not just his mother. She was his teacher, his guide, and his biggest supporter. She taught him to be curious, to always ask questions, and to believe that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. Ann's work ethic and belief in education were some of the most powerful lessons she passed on to Barack. She taught him the value of hard work and the power of learning. As a child, Barack's world wasn't filled with many material things, but he had everything he needed to succeed: love, attention, and the belief that he could change the world. Besides, his mother, Barack, was also greatly influenced by his grandparents. His grandfather was a tough man who worked hard and never gave up, while his grandmother was a kind woman who always took care of others. Together, they helped raise Barack and gave him a sense of stability. His grandparents made sure he had everything he needed and supported him in everything he did. Even though Barack grew up without his father, he didn't feel like he was missing out. Instead, he learned to appreciate the people around him who supported and loved him. Barack learned that family is not just about blood. It's about the people who care for you, help you, and encourage you to follow your dreams. Barack Obama's story is not just one of overcoming family struggles. it is also a story about identity and race. As a young boy, Barack didn't quite fit into the world around him. His father was African and his mother was American. Barack found himself in the middle of two very different cultures. He was often the only black student in his school, and this made him feel like an outsider. People would often ask him questions like, "Where are you from?" or "What's your background?" This was difficult for young Barack to answer because, deep down, he didn't feel fully connected to either side. He didn't fit perfectly into the black community because he didn't grow up in Africa, and he didn't fit into the white community because of his African roots. For a long time, Barack struggled with his identity. He didn't know where he belonged. But instead of letting this confusion define him, Barack decided to embrace his differences. He chose to see them as strengths. He understood that his unique background could help him bring people together, no matter their race or background. He learned that the world needed more people who could bridge divides and create understanding between different cultures. This lesson would guide him for the rest of his life. Barack Obama always had big dreams. As a young boy, he wasn't sure exactly how he would achieve them, but he knew that education was the key. He worked hard in school and excelled in his studies. But even with all his efforts, things weren't always easy for Barack. He faced discrimination, doubts, and obstacles that many young people face when they come from tough backgrounds. Yet, Barack's resilience shone through. He didn't let these challenges stop him. After finishing high school, Barack moved to the mainland United States to attend Occidental College in California. It was a big step for him, leaving behind his family and the familiar world of Hawaii. But Barack was ready. He wanted to grow, learn, and experience the world. This was the start of a new chapter in his life. At Occidental College, Barack was exposed to a whole new world. He met students from many different backgrounds and began to see the world in new ways. But he also began to feel the pressure of living up to the high expectations he had set for himself. Barack knew that in order to achieve his dreams, he had to push harder, work smarter, and never give up. He transferred to Columbia University in New York City, one of the top universities in the United States. This was a big challenge for Barack. New York City was a fast-paced, busy place, and Barack had to adjust to life in a big city. But he wasn't afraid. He was determined to succeed. At Columbia, Barack studied political science, which would later influence his future career. He became more interested in the issues affecting society, such as racial inequality and poverty. He saw how many people were struggling and felt a deep desire to help them. Barack began to understand that education wasn't just about getting a degree. It was about using knowledge to make the world a better place. After completing his studies, Barack moved to Chicago, where he worked as a community organizer. This was a job that took him into some of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. Barack's work was not easy. It required him to meet with people, listen to their problems, and find ways to bring about change. He worked long hours, facing many challenges. People were skeptical at first, but Barack knew that he had to stay strong. He didn't give up. He believed in the power of ordinary people coming together to change their world. Barack faced many challenges as a community organizer. Some people didn't believe that things could change. Others were too caught up in their own struggles to listen to him. But Barack believed in something more powerful, the belief that together people could make a difference. He worked tirelessly to improve the lives of people in Chicago, helping them fight for better housing, better schools, and better jobs. This section of Barack Obama's early life is filled with challenges, but through them, he learned valuable lessons. He learned the importance of education, the power of community, and the strength of belief. His story shows us that no matter where we come from or how difficult our situation may be, we can always fight for a better future. Barack Obama's time as a community organizer in Chicago laid the foundation for everything that came after. His work wasn't just about helping people with immediate problems. It was about teaching them to believe that they could make a difference in their own lives and that together they could change the world. But Barack knew that in order to make a bigger impact, he would need to do something even greater. He needed to enter politics. Barack's decision to run for political office didn't come easily. He knew that the road ahead would be tough. He was young, he was black, and he had no political experience. But he had something that many other politicians didn't, a deep understanding of the struggles ordinary people faced. He had a connection to their lives, and he knew how important it was for someone in power to listen to them. In 1996, Barack ran for the Illinois State Senate. It was his first step into the world of politics, and he knew it wouldn't be easy. He faced strong opponents, many of whom had more experience and more money. But Barack had one thing they didn't: a powerful vision. He believed he could create a government that truly worked for the people, especially those who had been forgotten by the system. His campaign was different from most. Instead of focusing on flashy advertisements and expensive events, Barack focused on talking directly to the people. He walked door to door, visited people in their homes, and listened to their concerns. He wanted to understand their pain, their hopes, and their dreams. He wanted them to know that he cared about them and that he was fighting for their future. Against the odds, Barack won the election. He became a state senator in Illinois, and this was just the beginning. He used his position to pass laws that helped improve health care, provide better education, and support the poor. He worked with both Republicans and Democrats, believing that the best way to solve problems was to bring people together, not divide them. Barack's presidency in 2011 reached a critical milestone when the United States carried out a daring mission that killed Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks. The operation was successful, and many Americans celebrated this moment of justice. Yet, it also sparked debate about the ethics of conducting such a mission on foreign soil without permission. Barack's decision to approve the operation showed the difficult balance leaders must strike between justice and diplomacy. It reminded everyone that true leadership often means making tough, sometimes unpopular choices. During his second term, Barack faced new challenges amid a politically divided country. One of the most intense battles was in 2013, when the government briefly shut down. The Republican-controlled Congress refused to pass a budget unless Barack agreed to defund the Affordable Care Act. Despite mounting pressure, Barack stood firm, refusing to back down on his principles. His leadership through this crisis demonstrated his commitment to fighting for what he believed was right, even when the path was steep and uncertain. Another landmark achievement was Barack's role in the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. He helped broker a global deal aimed at reducing carbon emissions and addressing climate change. Though the agreement was praised by many world leaders, it was not without controversy. Critics worried it might harm economic growth, while supporters argued it was essential for protecting the planet's future. Barack's dedication to this cause revealed his forward-thinking vision, not only focused on the present, but on safeguarding the world for generations to come. Yet even as he pushed for progress on the world stage, Barack faced challenges at home. The 2016 presidential election introduced a new kind of political landscape with the rise of Donald Trump. Trump's campaign was marked by divisive rhetoric, promising to undo many of Barack's policies. As the election drew near, it became clear that the country was deeply split, and Barack recognized the difficult road his successor would have ahead. Throughout his presidency, Barack was known for his powerful speeches, often full of hope. However, some of his words stirred controversy. In 2008, he spoke about Americans clinging to guns or religion in frustration, a comment meant to shed light on economic struggles, but which many perceived as an insult. Barack apologized quickly, yet the incident remained a notable part of his story. Race relations were another sensitive and defining aspect of his presidency. Barack spoke openly about inequality and injustice, seeking to bring understanding but sometimes deepening divides. In 2009, when Professor Henry Louis Gates, Jr., an African American, was arrested at his own home by a white police officer, Barack remarked that the police acted stupidly. This statement sparked a national debate, revealing deep racial tensions in America. Some felt Barack was too focused on race, while others believed he didn't do enough. Nevertheless, he continued to use his voice to push for dialogue and change. Barack Obama's presidency was a story of perseverance, fighting for health care reform, climate action, and economic recovery. As the first African American president, he shattered barriers and inspired millions worldwide. Though he left office in January 2017, his influence remains strong. Many policies he championed continue to shape the country, and his example teaches us that leadership is not about perfection, but about courage and conviction. After leaving the White House, Barack did not retreat from public life. Instead, he launched the Obama Foundation to inspire and empower future leaders. His vision was to create a space where young people worldwide could come together, learn, and work on solutions for their communities. The Foundation's programs focus on leadership development, global engagement, and community building, reflecting Barack's belief that young people hold the key to solving the world's biggest challenges. Barack's commitment to unity, hope, and democracy continued to shine through his speeches around the globe. In 2018, at the Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture in South Africa, he warned about the dangers of division and polarization. He reminded listeners that fear and hatred threaten the very values that make society strong: unity, tolerance, and belief in progress. His message encouraged especially young people to engage actively in their communities, fight for justice, and uphold democracy not just through voting, but by standing up for what is right. His memoir, A Promised Land, published in 2020, offered a deeply personal look inside his presidency. Barack shared his struggles, doubts, and triumphs, reminding us that leadership involves tough decisions, setbacks, and moments of joy. He paid tribute to his family, especially Michelle Obama, who was both his anchor and partner in public service. Michelle's own leadership in education and empowerment stands as a powerful complement to Barack's legacy. Faith has always been central to Barack's worldview. His Christian beliefs guided his sense of justice, service, and compassion. One of the most emotional moments of his presidency was his eulogy for the victims of the Charleston church shooting in 2015, where he sang "Amazing Grace." This moment reflected his deep humanity and the hope he inspired in countless people. Though some critics say he did not go far enough on issues like health care and racial equality, Barack remains confident he did all he could within the circumstances he faced. He teaches us that leadership means learning from mistakes and pushing forward, even when the road is hard. As we reflect on Barack Obama's incredible journey, the most important lesson is this: no matter the obstacles, we all have the power to make a difference. Barack's life reminds us that leadership is about empowering others, inspiring hope, and believing in a better future. You too have the ability to change your world, step by step, day by day. If you found this story inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can learn from leaders like Barack Obama and find the courage to face our own challenges. Your journey is just beginning, and the world is waiting for your voice.